I'm Alan Murray, CEO of Fortune Media, and I'm here today with Tom Long and Mackie McCrea, who are co-CEOs of Energy Transfer, the giant oil and gas logistics company. Gentlemen, great to be with you.
Great to be here, Al.
Thank you, Alan. Good to be here with you.
You've been on the Fortune 500 list for 16 years, but last year you jumped 27 spots. You came in at number 54. That puts you, right after Walt Disney, right before Lockheed Martin. You're really in the big time there. Now, I know it was a good year for oil and gas generally, but what made it particularly good for Energy Transfer?
Well, I tell you, we couldn't be more excited. If you kind of look at what we've done over the years, we built one of the largest, most diversified energy portfolio of energy assets in the country. We have an unparalleled footprint throughout much of the U.S. So if you look at our assets and all the bases they reach to and all the markets they connect to, we play such an important role in moving energy around the country. But really what Tom and I will always say is we are very proud and we feel fortunate to have the assets we have, but it's our employees. And you'll hear this over and over. We have the best employees, the hardest working. We think we've got as good or better expertise than any of our competitors. So when you combine really good assets that are well positioned in all the producing basins, and you have great connectivity to all the markets and refineries and terminals around the country, and then you throw in the best employees, it's hard not to be successful.
Well, let's talk about both of those, the assets and the employees. Start with the assets. You've worked very strategically to build those over the years. What did you have in mind?
We started back over 25 years ago, and we had a two-pronged approach, and it's really by direction of our executive chairman, Kelsey Warren, and that's with an MLP in this business, you got to do it two ways. You need to grow by acquisitions and you need to grow by organic growth. So we've kind of combined those over the years with Tom's leadership around the M&A activity and financing everything that we're doing, and our business development team that's really put together a lot of organic projects. We've done a wonderful job of balancing those, because with the M&A activities, it's immediate cash flow. It's immediately goes to the bottom line and helps from the financial standpoint, whereas the organic growth may take 2, 3, 4 years, possibly billions of dollars before you see any cash flow. So that kind of mix is what really kind of put us on the map and really helped us grow in a healthy way to keep kind of our leverage and our coverage at a healthy level.
And when you're buying companies like that, you're merging different cultures. So you talk about your people. What is it? What is the common culture that holds your people together that's unique to Energy Transfer?
It's just a complete dedication by all of our employees to do the right thing. If you set up that kind of culture, even as you're integrating other companies, it makes it really so easy. And you can just see the commitment of all our employees and how excited and how comfortable they are when we bring another group of, let's say, team members to our company. So it's one I think we're as good at as anyone. We've got a great model of kind of plug and play and a lot of what I call the support functions. But then when you look at the asset side of it, it's integrating the assets. It's integrating the assets and getting all your commercial synergies, your cost synergies, and hitting that on day one. The other key is to not let it linger on. In other words, before you ever close on a transaction, you need to have a 30-day plan that you make sure you hit of exactly what it's going to happen, a 60-day plan, and then a 90-day. And when you stay right on schedule with every step, it's amazing how it all comes together. If you let things linger too long, you've seen this happen with some companies. It lingers too long, then it just kind of forms a whole nother culture that is really not productive to forming a combined company.
Yeah, well, you've clearly been successful at it to get to the size you are now. How are the two of you thinking about the future of fossil fuels? There's a lot of conversation about that these days. Focus on climate change, on the need to transition to a non-carbon emitting economy. Where does that leave you? What do you see your future over the next 10 to 20 years?
Tom, let me start on that because I'm pretty passionate about this question. We are of the opinion that fossil fuels will be around for not 10, 20, but many, many years to come. Fossil fuels, the late 1800s, early 1900s pretty much changed the way we all live. And if you look back and think about the people at that time, they would never in their wildest dream imagine the life standard, the standard of life that we have today. And it's has a lot to do with fossil fuels. And if you look at kind of what's happened more recently, it's kind of woken folks up to the demand for fossil fuels and the need for fossil fuels. And there's books that are being written. There's a really good book out right now. There's a lot of studies are being done. And we take the opposite position that not only should fossil fuels not be phased out, which we believe is unrealistic and implausible and quite frankly just makes no sense whatsoever. What needs to happen is there needs to be more fossil fuel, and I'll elaborate just a bit on that.
Yeah, please.
The world, much of the world, in Africa and Asia and India, is in dire need of affordable, reliable energy to raise their standard of living. And it's not happening. And with all this pressure around climate change, it's making it worse. And one of the best ways to address climate change is to reduce coal-fired power plants. And if we went in today and replaced every coal-fired, or more importantly, stopped the construction like going on in China and other countries, and replace that with natural gas, we'd reduce emissions by significantly higher levels than if we took every combustion engine off the streets and replaced them with EV. So
you're not diminishing the need to address the climate. You're just saying there are better ways to do it, and it's going to involve fossil fuel.
Absolutely. One more example of that is we need reliable, affordable electricity, which natural gas will provide through power generation. But also what we need is natural gas liquid distribution throughout the countries I just named and other parts of the world where they're burning wood or dung or biomass in their homes for heating and cooking. Replace that with propane or much cleaner burning or butane, and it's going to change their lives in many ways. So we're big time proponents of.
And does Energy Transfer have any plans to get into sort of the next generation of clean energy, like wind or solar or hydrogen or even things like carbon sequestration?
A high level answer: absolutely. We'll get into anything that makes us money, that gives our unit holders a rate of return, increase the value of our units. Yep. So absolutely. However, we're not going to check boxes. We're not out trying to chase things just to chase it. We have been methodical over the years of watching, for example, any kind of methane emissions or in fact, the way we kind of describe it, we were doing the ESG stuff long before it became popular. I mean, we have a dual drive compressor that can run on electricity or on natural gas. Each year, we've reduced our carbon footprint by running it majority of time on electricity, unless there's a burden on the grid and we can switch to natural gas. We've been sequestering CO2 and H2S for years. But to answer your question, sure, we're looking at any opportunity that makes sense for us. And one example is we have supported the solar business, but we haven't done it with our capital. We've done it with our commitment to buy what we think is very inexpensive electricity for a number of years in the future, because we see these as 9 or 10% rate of return projects, and we can put our capital work at much better rates of return. So yes, we're supporting it. We're looking at it. We're evaluating everything, hydrocarbon, and when it makes sense, we'll get involved.
Tom, what's next for Energy Transfer? You have more M&A on the horizon. What should we be looking for from you next?
We absolutely do have more M&A on the horizon. We feel like when you look at the overall energy infrastructure space, that it is still a lot of smaller type players that if you bring them together, it's going to be a whole lot more efficient and a whole lot more reliable. And therefore, we continue to allocate quite a bit of time internally here, resources of evaluating various acquisitions. And so when you look at that aspect of it, you might say, okay, well, your sheer scale and size, but there's still a lot of areas and pockets and bolt-ons, we call them, that we think make a good fit with us. But it's not just the certain product. In other words, whether it's natural gas liquids, or the crude oil. So when you look at each one of those, we can add more in several of those areas with what we have to be able to make this even a stronger and larger company. But the other thing I want to make sure is we continue to look at organic growth projects also. We think that still makes a lot of sense, because once you've built up this large of an infrastructure, little smaller projects, they're less than a 12-month build, the cash flow starts coming back in a whole lot quicker on those. But those are also very high returning projects, because just with some small construction projects, you can now optimize your assets even more. And with our latest acquisition that we made up in Oklahoma with Enable, it is one that we're right now working on a lot of really, really good projects. So we're going to continue to focus on that. We think it makes a lot of sense.
How about international?
And international is one that we continue to allocate even more time to. So if you really look at our assets, like Mackie said earlier, we go from the wellhead all the way through the export facilities. But it makes a whole lot of a sense now that we've got to the export facilities to look at projects like we're looking at one in Panama right now. We've talked about on our earnings call. We're very, very excited about that. But there's other areas that we're likewise looking at globally, I'm talking about. And we will be prepared to talk about those projects later, depending on how they move forward. But we think international, just with what you're seeing occur with Russia, the reliability side of natural gas and natural gas liquids, that there's not a better place to produce what the globe needs so desperately right now, is a reliable source of energy.
So you made your leap up the Fortune 500 list last year before Russia invaded Ukraine. I wonder how that decision in Europe is affecting your business.
One area is LNG, natural gas. If you look at what they did, and it's really sad that all of this good high prices is at the detriment of Ukraine, and just an incredible group of people that are fighting atrocity, just a horrible situation. But what it's done is it's woken up the world to the need for natural gas. So the way we look at it is we've been looking at our Lake Charles LNG to get to FID for years, 4, 5, 6 years. And we've gone back and forth. The pandemic slowed us down. And once the Ukraine, all that happened, as you have probably followed to a certain degree and others, it has taken off. We are in constant negotiations with countries around the world. They're in dire need of natural gas. Not tomorrow. There's a project that won't come online for 4 or 5 years, and they're signing 20-year agreements. So clearly they see the need, not tomorrow, not 5 years, but for at least 25 years for natural gas. So huge future for natural gas.
So I want to go back to this culture question, because I know that's something that the two of you are very proud of. You got 11,000 or so employees out there. How do you keep them unified around that culture? What's your mission? What are the values that they understand they have to adhere to?
Communication is obviously a key component of this stuff. We get out a lot. We go and visit a lot of the field locations. You can appreciate we're spread out, but just because of the nature of our assets and our business. And it's just so important to go out and hear what's on their mind, to make sure you're communicating both through your portals, but likewise, there's nothing like face-to-face meetings. We all know the last 2 years have been very tough on a lot of the face-to-face meetings. When we go out right now, you can just see the sparkle in everyone's eyes to be able to get a group of people back into rooms, to be able to see their entire face without mask on. So there's a lot of things that are happening. You can just every single one of these meetings, you can just feel the culture that we've built. And collaboration is one of the key components to our culture. And that's the reason we work so hard on making sure we get people, into the office, and we go out and visit everyone in the office.
And I'll add, Alan, one thing, and that's that, and Tom hit on it earlier, that we have a common theme here. It's on websites, it's on everything we do. It's that you enter our buildings is to always do the right thing, follow the laws, work hard, make the right decisions, be safe, high priority around safety with our employees, which is extremely important to us as Tom leads our operating team. But it all comes back to do the right thing. In the choices that you make, think about doing the right thing.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Gentlemen, let me ask you both, what does it mean to you and to your company to be number 54 on the Fortune 500 list?
It's pretty darn cool. I mean, we've worked really hard over these years in the manner that we described earlier by buying assets and building out assets and bringing employees together and kind of working toward a culture of success, of driving to do our best. And so when you hit kind of pillars like that and you see things like that in such a substantial and impressive magazine like Fortune 500, it's pretty neat to be a part of that, and we hope each year to continue to improve on that.
Tom?
And absolutely, we are thrilled to have moved up to this level, especially when you see us between the Walt Disney, and it's just, I mean, what an achievement when you think of what all's been accomplished. And I can assure you, all 11,000 employees will just, are glowing with pride right now because they've all put in a lot of hard work and a lot of long days to be able to get to where we are today. And it's been done with a company now that's very strong financially, strong balance sheet, and what a great place to be for continued growth.
Well, congratulations. I hope you keep moving up. Thank you for taking the time to talk about Energy Transfer's amazing accomplishments.
Thank you,
Thank
Alan.
you, Alan. Appreciate it very much.